What's up, Les? I'm interrupting our pre-show ritual where we stay silent and pretend not to be here just to say hi to you. So
Wow. I was sitting in my isolation chamber
meditating,
meditating, and you just completely broke.
Sorry. Well, it's Les's fault. Okay, bye now. Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I am Daniel.
I'm Chris.
You're goddamn right you are.
There's no one else I could be.
Chris, the consumer of souls.
I guess if you want to.
I made that up just now. I don't know. I just figured that would sound pretty good. You need to have a gamer tag.
I guess. I mean,
that's what the young kids do.
Yeah.
Like I would be on this fucking show introducing myself as Mad Sax Appeal and not Daniel because but I don't care if anyone knows where I live or who I am. I have nothing. What are they going to take from me?
This is true.
I'm in a basement full of Star Wars toys. What could possibly matter in my life?
They would take the Star Wars toys.
Yeah, and then I would kill them. Anyway, welcome to our live podcast where we talk about Star Wars and Star Wars adjacent things and some things that just aren't Star Wars at all that we just kind of like. For example, Loki. We'll probably talk about Loki a little bit at the end of the show. Yeah, it is a real fucking good show. And we got some Star Wars news. So we're going to do a Bad Batch recap before the newest episode tomorrow, which is, as I just literally said, coming out tomorrow. And then we have a Star Wars story time planned for today.
Most exciting time of the week.
Yes. Before we get into that, of course, thank you to our partners at the Star Wars Hub and also Star Wars fans worldwide. They put our stuff in front of other people.
They put up with our bullshit and they don't complain.
I think it's just because they don't listen to the show.
Could be.
Because they're like, those guys curse a lot. This probably isn't a good idea.
But we're thankful to them nonetheless.
Yeah, in my messages to them, I'm very professional.
Oh yeah, sure.
But it's nothing like how I talk on the show. So go like their Facebook pages. We're streaming to you live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. You can be on 1, 2, or 3 of those if you wish. So you should be on all of them. So go check that out. And then right after this, at 7 o'clock p.m. Central, we'll be resetting for our Battlefront stream. So that'll be a lot of fun. We play Battlefront, and we're the best team in the world.
Pretty much, yeah.
And people get really upset when we say that, and they try to stream snipe us, and then we beat them. That's not usually what happens. Actually, we just refuse to play them, and then we say we beat them anyway.
I mean, by refusing to engage, haven't you won?
Yes, exactly. See, it's the Jedi thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about some Star Wars news. What do we got first?
Okay. So Gina Carano.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, should I put the picture up?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, I tell you what. Hold on. We need a signal.
Okay.
Make a bird call, and I'll put the picture up.
I
said make a bird call, and I'll put the fucking picture up.
Okay, so backstory. Gina Carano got fired from The Mandalorian for making inflammatory statements on Twitter.
Saying shitty things.
She is still on Twitter, somehow. And the other day, she posted an image, of that.
That was a really good one. Okay.
Thank you. So from looking at this, it looks vaguely science fiction-y. I mean, it looks like there's 3 suns there. It looks like there's
We don't have 3 suns on Earth.
We certainly don't. It looks like there's a shrouded silhouette at the bottom. Looks like there's some narrow canyon.
It's very dramatic.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It was recently announced, or I believe it was announced, that Rangers of the New Republic, the show that was presumably going to star Gina Carano, spinoff from The Mandalorian, was canned.
Right.
Because Gina Carano said inflammatory things on Twitter. So there's a couple things that could be happening here, and I narrowed this down to basically 2 theories in my head.
Okay.
Number 1 is that this was concept art for Rangers of the New Republic that someone gave to Gina Carano at some point, and she figures, well, I'm already fired. What the hell can they still do to me? And just put it on Twitter.
They could sue her for a lot of fucking money for
could.
sharing that. If that's what it is.
Yeah.
She could get in a lot of trouble.
The other possibility in my head is that this is some completely unrelated project that she just has art for and threw it up because she thought it looked cool.
Well, you know what her fans are convinced of?
What's that?
They're convinced that it is a secret signal that she is returning to Star Wars.
I mean, it's possible
that Disney they're going to bury the hatchet. Disney is going to apologize, and
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
There is no chance Disney apologizes.
The mouse apologizes to no one.
No.
Not even when it should. 50 years ago, when it hated pretty much everyone who weren't white people. And all of you saying, or all of you on the other side of the Gina Carano thing, are like, well, fucking Disney was racist and anti-Semitic. We know.
Yes.
We understand that. Like, it's shitty.
Here's the thing. At the time, it was more profitable to be those things than it was to not be those things. And nowadays, it is more profitable to not be racist and anti-Semitic than it is to be racist and anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Also, none of the people running Disney back then are alive anymore, so.
I think that's probably true.
Yeah, so it's like, they're dead. Like, who's laughing now?
Us.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I don't, I was thinking about, someone asked me, by someone, I mean, I just thought of this and figured for the sake of conversation, I'd pretend like I was talking to someone.
The Donald Trump maneuver.
Yeah. Oh, don't.
I'm sorry.
Don't say that.
Many people are saying
that. Right. I just wanted to make people think that there's more people in the world other than you that I just talked to, when it's really not true. The idea of her returning to Star Wars, like, obviously Disney's not going to apologize. If she were to return to Star Wars, I don't think I would be that super crazy about it, because I'm on the side of this issue where, like, the stuff she said was shitty, and I'm kind of glad she lost her job over it. Yeah. But at the same, like, if they came to some kind of agreement, and they're like, you got to stop frothing at the mouth on social media, and we'll be fine.
Just delete your Twitter account,
and
then you can be in Star Wars again.
Or just, like, save all your crazy batshit stuff for later when you don't work for Disney anymore. And you know, there's a whole issue there about censorship and stuff, and I know it's a complex issue, and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. That's not what we're here to talk about.
That's not particularly complex, because this isn't government, like, this isn't censorship.
I know. Yes, you're true. You're true. You're speaking the truth.
I am true. Yes.
The complex issue I was talking about would be requiring someone to behave a certain way on social media to get a job.
That's capitalism.
Look, I'm not here to litigate this, and you know that you and I agree on this, but it is, especially people who are on the other side of this issue, also believe it's a complex issue. And you're never, I mean, it's not like we're ever going to change minds anyway, but the point is that it could be a 10-hour long conversation about something, and that's not what I'm not trying to have the 10-hour long conversation, is what I'm trying to say. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I wouldn't really care that much. Like, if they came to some, like, they're like, okay, stop saying stuff like that, and you can be Cara Dune again. And it'd be like, because I like her character in Mandalorian. Like,
she was very good at her job.
I enjoyed the stuff that she did. So, probably not, though.
Probably not.
Just because that would be a huge fucking publicity. That would be complex.
They would be eaten alive for that.
Well, imagine running PR for Disney, explaining why you've like, so do you not think that what she said is shitty anymore? That's because that's the first thing that they would say.
Yes.
All right. So next, speaking of pictures coming out, there were some really cool pictures from Kenobi.
The set of Kenobi.
Yeah, it wasn't really the set. It was more of like characters in costume. So of course we know Disney Plus has an upcoming series called Kenobi. It's going to be about Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine after Episode 3. And first of all, they've kept the plot pretty tight-lipped so far, which is cool. But someone with a really high-quality camera got near the actors as they were like walking from their trailer or whatever to set, and so there are some pictures floating around there on the internet. So go look at them. A lot of them are of Ewan McGregor just looking like Obi-Wan Kenobi, which immediately it's like.
So he's got like his Jedi clothes on, but he also has like this like ugly gray like cloak.
Yes,
thing.
and you know what? I kind of recognize that. I was watching a couple years ago. I was watching some behind the scenes footage of Game of Thrones with the actors. It was before the next season came out, and they were doing the interviews while they were on set in between shots, and to cover their costumes up and to avoid any kind of spoilers. They like put them in front of a nondescript wall that couldn't be anything and covered them in like a drape, so that you couldn't tell what they were wearing.
So it's the same thing here. They're trying to avoid any spoilers. Or
it's barely working because you can see it, like he's wearing his tunic and shit, and then there's an Imperial officer who's just like letting the drape like just flow in the wind. You can just mostly see their costume anyway. There's a couple stormtroopers. And there's one guy, it looks like he's got the stormtrooper costume on except for the stormtrooper part, just the black part underneath.
Oh.
And so he looks real fucking good in it, by the way. Just saying. I'm just going to put that out there.
Okay.
And so he's probably a stormtrooper too. So, and I was reading something about the villain of that series being, I mentioned before, the female Imperial officer in the olive drab thing and the cute little hat and shit. That, who is that? That actress? I can't remember. She's from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Indira something.
Indira Varma.
There we go.
Yeah. Her being like the big bad of the first season or whatever. So, we don't really know anything. So, go look at those pictures. They're fun. It'll make you excited. If anything, it'll make you excited for Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm. So, moving right along.
Next.
On StarWars.com, there was a press release about Star Wars Visions.
Oh yeah.
So Star Wars Visions, if you didn't know, is this like compilation show of like anime and other cartoon animators like telling these little stories sprinkled throughout the timeline. Apparently, there's going to be a sneak preview at Anime Expo.
We're gonna watch the fuck out of that.
So July 3rd, put an alert in your calendars.
Isn't it like 30 minutes long or something?
Yes, 30 minutes long, July 3rd.
Is that all footage, do you think, from the show? Or is that just like do you think they do like a making of, or like they interview the artists or whatever?
I would think they would have to show at least part of one story.
Yes, I agree, but 30 minutes.
30 minutes is a lot.
Yeah.
If this is like a full panel at the convention or whatever.
Oh, it's probably the whole session, I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
They would come out and say, blah, 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 we're so excited, blah, blah, blah. Here's some of the people we're working with, and here's a sneak preview of the first episode.
Yeah, which we will, of course, watch and have a breakdown after it comes out.
Frame by frame.
Yeah. That'd be kind of neat. Yeah. It's they see some of the stuff they're doing with Marvel seems to kind of be echoing in Star Wars a little bit, because Marvel is doing that What If series, which is an animated well, it's what if Captain America was a zombie and stuff like that. So that is really exciting. Is it my turn?
It is your turn.
So Loki writer teases new Star Wars movie.
Oh.
Yeah. So
there's two things there that we're both very excited about, right?
Yeah, because first of all, Loki has had its second episode yesterday. Mm-hmm. So far, just in 2 episodes, it's been really cool. And the guy that's writing it is also in charge of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which is part of their
It's an upcoming movie.
What phase are we? Are we like phase 5?
I think so.
It's one of the phase 5 Marvel movies.
Yeah, because I think phase 4 officially ended with whatever the last Spider-Man movie was.
Yeah. Far From Home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in an interview to GQ, Waldron, the guy that we're just talking about, said the following: I think the success of the MCU is for all the amazing science fiction and concepts and all that stuff. Ultimately, the success is built upon the characters, their humanity, the very relatable conflicts, friendships, and the family that is in the MCU. And I think Star Wars, at its best, is a story about family. Han, Luke, and Leia were a family. You love seeing them together, and you hated it when they were going to be split apart. It's great characters. There's nothing new. I'm not going to blow anyone's mind with that headline. That's my biggest takeaway. And so this whole conversation was kind of about this like upcoming Star Wars movie and Kevin Feige, and because Kevin Feige is doing a Star Wars thing, right?
He's producing a movie.
Right. He's not taking over Kathleen Kennedy's job.
Nope.
he's doing what I think at this point any sane corporate person would do.
It's like, wait, I can work on Star Wars? Hell yeah,
Well,
sign me up.
I think that Disney looked at him. They're like, "Did you see all this shit he's doing with Marvel? Like, people are fucking crazy about Marvel, so it would be stupid not to have him work on Star Wars." So he didn't really reveal any secrets, but he went on to say, "It's very early days. That's probably the thing I can say the least about. Unfortunately, Kevin is a great listener. He wants to hear your ideas, take in how you might do something, and then help you make it better. Beyond that, he's just a cool guy." And then he said a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, the gist of it is they were talking about this upcoming movie and how fucking cool it's going to be. Now, you and I both know it's probably going to get canceled. Or they're gonna fire Feige or something, or
the writer, or both.
Right, and they're gonna have to reshoot the whole thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully they've learned how to not do that. But
hopefully they've refined their process so that they can fire fewer people.
Yeah, I'm excited. I would be excited about a Kevin Feige produced movie just because Kevin Feige.
I mean, whatever you think about the MCU, those movies are very well put together and like technically executed.
Yeah, they're also insanely popular.
Yeah,
like I don't care. I've seen a bunch of Facebook comments about, they don't read the comics. There's nothing like comics. I don't really care about the comics. Are kind of stupid. Thanos rides around in a fucking helicopter that says Thanos on the side of it. I'm not that concerned about the comics. Like, I understand that for some people it's kind of like, the word.
Sure.
But I like the MCU. I like it more than the comics.
Mm-hmm.
I know that makes me a pleb. I get it.
It's fine.
We'll all have to fucking live with that, I guess.
Anyway, next thing. Speaking of Star Wars series coming to Disney Plus, The Acolyte. You remember that?
Oh yeah, yes.
The one we haven't heard very much about, but has a very intriguing title.
Yeah.
So this comes from Giant Freaking Robot, who apparently have a source inside at Disney.
Okay.
They're not naming them, not saying anything about them. But they've apparently learned that Disney is casting for the lead of The Acolyte, which they're aiming for a young woman of color, preferably of Asian descent. Comfortable, like athletic, comfortable with martial arts, because there's going to be some fighting going on with this character. And looking at the title, Acolyte, that seems to imply some sort of Sith connection.
Yeah.
So our lead character might be the titular Acolyte.
Yeah. Yeah, I was this one, isn't this the one that takes place in like the waning days of the High Republic?
A High Republic series.
Yeah. So we're not really sure yet about a lot of stuff in the Star Wars timeline, because while a ton of shit exists in Legends, not a lot really exists in like canon. Yeah. So in Legends, the Sith were around for thousands of years. They might maybe amend that to be, not that old. So it would be kind of neat to see a story about like how the Sith kind of broke away from the Jedi.
There is that question of how did all the Sith shit get onto Exegol if they weren't particularly old? So it might be. So in the old canon, the Sith existed for thousands of years.
They were a race first.
And then the Battle of Ruusan happened, and all the Sith except 2 got wiped out, and they persisted
because there was a thought bomb.
Yes, for another 1,000 years until Palpatine took over the Republic.
Yeah, with the Rule 2,
and the rest we all know. I'm wondering if it might not be something similar to that in the works, where like Exegol was the capital of the old Sith Empire, but they got destroyed by the Jedi or something.
That's a great idea.
And then for 100 years or something, they were undercover, or however long that one Jedi council member said in Phantom Menace for hundreds of
millennia.
Yeah, whatever.
And the Sith have been extinct for a millennia.
Yeah.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
But they've actually just been underground.
Yeah. So they better keep the Darth Bane thing.
That would
by
be
the
pretty
way,
cool.
Because people, I think, would fucking revolt because I mean, there's no reason not to keep the Darth Bane thing.
I mean, right up there with the Timothy Zahn novels, like the Darth Bane as a character, and particularly his storyline is really, really fucking popular.
Yeah, and it's dark and gritty, and probably will never make it into a Star Wars like movie or anything because it would have to be rated R.
Yeah.
but they could tell some kind of story there. And I think that'd be pretty cool.
I think so.
You want to hear about how awfully sassy Alec Guinness was?
Oh, absolutely.
I was reading this thing earlier. And because he was an old English bloke, he of course wrote letters to his friends. And he said some of the funniest shit about Star Wars. He was, who was he? His friend Ann Kaufman is who he's writing. I'm going to just read a couple of these excerpts without much comment, because there's not a ton of story here. I just want to share it. I just found it really amusing. I'm not going to try to do a British accent. I've been offered a movie, 20th Century Fox, which I may accept if they come up with proper money. London and North Africa starting in mid-March. He went on science fiction, which gives me pause, but is to be directed by Paul Lucas, who did American Graffiti, which makes me feel I should, which is hilarious because he didn't know who the fuck George Lucas was and called him Paul Lucas. Big part, fairy tale rubbish, but could be interesting perhaps. And so he went on to take the part officially, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then in another letter, he wrote, "New rubbish dialogue reaches me every other day on wads of pink paper, and none of it makes my character clear or even bearable. I just think thankfully of the lovely bread," money he means,
yes,
"which will help me keep going until next April, even if Yahoo collapses in a week." I'm not sure what.
I think that might have been a stage show that he was involved in.
Okay, because it wasn't the internet conglomerate,
No.
Obviously in 1976 or whatever, and
No,
that didn't exist yet.
I think he had his next gig already lined up for after Star Wars.
Yeah.
And even if that show fell apart,
Right.
he would have money.
He added, I must off to studio and work with a dwarf. Very sweet, and he has to wash in a bidet." Which I guess, did Kenny Baker have to take showers in a bidet?
I don't know.
If so, that's fucked up.
That's pretty fucked
Yeah.
up, yeah.
And your fellow countrymen Mark Hamill and Tennyson, that can't be right. Ford Ellison? No. Well, a rangy, languid young man who is probably intelligent and amusing, but oh God, they make me feel 90 and treat me as if I were 106. Oh, Harrison Ford. You ever hear of him?
Oh, right, Harrison.
And let's see. I've had enough of this mumbo jumbo. He added that he shriveled up every time Star Wars was mentioned to him after the film came out. So it was no secret to anyone that Alec Guinness hated being in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing that I appreciate so much about him was that despite him probably thinking about his life choices while he's sitting in Tunisia,
Yeah.
melting his face off as, a 60-year-old man,
Yeah.
he was always known on set for being the absolute professional and for being like the morale officer. He'd keep everyone's spirits up and would make jokes and laugh and keep everyone kind of sane. But on the inside, he hated,
was rolling his eyes.
Yeah, he hated Paul Lucas. He fucking hated Paul Lucas.
I like to think that Alec Guinness and Harrison Ford got together in one of their trailers after shooting and just broke out some beers and just bonded over how much they fucking hated this movie.
Yeah.
And Alec Guinness was like, "Yeah, this movie is absolute garbage and I'm telling George Lucas to kill my character." And Harrison Ford was like, "Wait, you can do that?"
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great idea.
The sad reality, of course, is that Harrison Ford was probably too busy hitting on Carrie Fisher to do any of this.
Yeah, because they were.
Yeah.
I think everyone was trying to do Carrie Fisher then, because she was gorgeous. Yeah. She was a very, very attractive woman. I remember there was an interview that Mark Hamill did where they made out in his trailer, and then they stopped and just started laughing because they were both the same age, and it was just kind of they were just being stupid teenagers or whatever. And I love Carrie Fisher. I swear to God, Carrie Fisher is my spirit animal. I love her. You know what it's time for?
What's time for?
It's time for a Bad Batch recap.
Oh, good.
Last time, previously on the... Oh, shit, my microphone's falling out. Previously on the Bad Batch.
Give spoiler alerts.
Son of a bitch, this fucking microphone.
Anyway, we're talking about the Bad Batch. It came out last Friday. If you haven't seen it yet, we assume you just don't want to.
Yeah. But spoilers, regardless, we're going to spoil it.
This is your last chance to walk away.
And we're probably going to spoil it badly.
Probably,
Like,
yeah.
we're probably going to not, like, catch the thing that you saw that you obsessed about, even though there was one thing that I was immediately freaking out about in
But
this
you know
episode.
what? If you saw something that we didn't mention, put it in the
Yeah,
chat.
put it in the comments. Actually, before we go into the Bad Batch, let me check on our comments real quick. Greetings, Daniel, Chris. Oh, then we did that. What's up, Joseph? What's up, Jared? What's up, Joe? And then what's up, Les again?
Okay.
But keep putting comments in here. We'll be watching and reading in between segments. But we're about to spoil Bad Batch, so fucking hold on to your butts.
Okay, here we go. Previously on, they went on this mission for Sid the Trandoshan to get this.
Who's from New York somehow? Yeah,
we just go with it, to get this old tactical droid that had information on how to beat up clones, but they wound up meeting Rafa and Trace Martez. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, the one part of the last part of Clone Wars we didn't care that much about.
The droid had got destroyed, but they managed to salvage the data and they gave it to Rafa and Trace, and they went off to do something.
Yeah, with the rebellion.
Yeah,
apparently.
This episode was called Battle Scars, and we open with the squad ship flying away from a planet. It's not Corellia, or at least it's not the same job on Corellia, because they have this like little lizard thing in a cage that they stole.
Yeah,
from,
they like captured it.
Yeah, from the Rokai. Are those pirates or something?
I can't remember.
Okay.
It didn't spark any like
instant recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they're flying away. There's this funny scene with Omega and Wrecker trying to strap in and keep the cage secure and all that. But Echo fixes the hyperdrive and they escape. Back at Sid's cantina, Sid's like, I don't know what the fuck they wanted this lizard for, but they're paying me, so which means I'm paying you, so let's go get your money. Wrecker and Omega go off to the market to get some Mantellin Mix, which is like this popcorn Cracker Jack snack.
Well,
thing.
they sell it at Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's literally product placement.
Oh my god. Fucking
you can go to Galaxy's Edge and buy that food.
Now if I ever eat it, I'm gonna have to speak in a New Zealand accent.
Yeah. Merchandising.
So there's as they're going back into Sid's office, there's this dark cloaked figure sitting in the cantina that's kind of watching them, and Hunter's
being real sus.
Yeah, and Hunter's like, what the fuck is that guy? But he just goes in. Apparently they didn't copy the data.
Oh, they just gave it away?
Yeah, they just straight up gave it to Rafa and Trace, and Sid's still kind of pissed off about that.
Well, yeah. It's like, I hired you to do your job. You did the opposite of that.
What the fuck, you guys? She's like, also, I've been paying all your debts here. I'm the reason you can park your ship on the planet and not get it towed. Yeah. So you guys owe me a lot of money.
Also, someone keeps running this fucking tab on Galaxy's Edge food out of the food court, and that shit's expensive too.
Yeah. So the two of the cantina regulars, like this Ithorian and some other alien I didn't recognize, are starting to talk shit to the cloaked guy, and he's just kind of staring at them. And we flash back to Sid's office, and we hear some blaster fire going off. And everyone's like, well, what the fuck was that? And everyone rushes out. The aliens are running away. The cloaked figure is putting away his blaster pistol. We see a very familiar gauntlet. And Hunter's like, well, who the fuck are you? And he pulls down his hood. And what do you know? It's Captain Rex.
Oh my god, it's Rex.
Captain Rex from the Clone Wars.
Which, by the way, all the guys in the Battlefront chats that guess it being Captain Rex. Nice job.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job. So he's been on the run since the war ended because he got his inhibitor chip out.
Yeah.
And that makes him kind of persona non grata. The Empire thinks he's dead, so he's got that going for him.
That's always useful.
Yes. Apparently he's the one that Rafa and Trace sent the droid data to, and he's the one that they were talking to.
Yeah.
So Omega and Rex come back, Omega and Wrecker come back, and then Rex kind of squats down to introduce himself, and Omega just kind of squints at him and says, "You're Generation 1."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well."
So
yes,
your Omega impression gets closer and closer to Mickey Mouse every single time you do it.
That's not what I'm going for, I promise.
That's okay. It's still funny.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Wrecker gets a headache, like you do. And
which at this point, we're just like, okay, would you pay this fucking head thing off?
Come on. And Rex is like, hey, that's what happens when an inhibitor chip goes wrong. And Tech's like, oh, yes, but don't worry about that. We're immune to them.
Yeah.
And Rex is like, wait a minute. Yeah. Pulls out his gun. You guys still have your inhibitor chips?
Which, by the way, was a pretty neat, that realization, because he knew that at any point they could just snap
Yeah.
and then just be crazy. That was a really tense scene for me. I really like that.
So he has a little bit of PTSD going on.
Yeah.
Because like he saw what happened
Yep.
with the clones during Order 66.
Well, he also,
Yeah.
I mean, came really close to doing bad shit too.
So they come up with a plan. They're going to meet Rex on the planet Braca, which, if you've ever played Jedi Fallen Order, you'll recognize as the ship junkyard.
Yeah,
That
so the way this happened in the game, Cal Kestis and his master were stationed in orbit over Braca during Order 66. The Venator class Star Destroyer crashes. Cal just gets a job after he crashes doing scrap stuff. Which, so as soon as they said Braca, I was shitting my pants.
Well, Cal would be like 7 or 8 years old.
But he's there in a crashed fucking Venator Star Destroyer somewhere. I don't know if it was the one that they end up visiting, but yeah.
So they go walking across the ship graveyard. They're going towards this old Venator class ship, which may or may not be the one Cal was on. Yeah. We don't know.
To be fair, there are a lot of crash ships.
There's a lot there. Yeah. On the way, they spot a patrol from the Scrapper Guild, flying around on their
which literally Cal Kestis ends up joining.
Yeah.
Which is why I was shitting my pants.
And they're like, "Oh God, we need to avoid that because no one can know we're here." So they get into the cruiser, right? And there's this like gap that's directly between them and the medical facility they need to go to do brain surgery. And Rex is like, "All right, cool, I got this." He grabs this cable and like he's climbing across the gap on it.
He has a Batman grapnel.
Yeah.
Like what is that? The line launcher?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So everyone gets across except Wrecker, and Wrecker's like, number one, I'm afraid of heights. Number two, I'm really fucking heavy, and I don't trust this cable to support my weight, so I'll just stay over here.
I feel fine. I don't have a headache anymore.
Get the fuck, get over here! And everyone, so he starts climbing across, except the cable snaps, and he falls down, and gets attacked by Dianoga, the thing from the Death Star trash compactor.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was supposed to be.
Huh.
Because, I mean, how many other things do you know, like aquatic creatures with tentacles and, like, creepy eyeballs that live in garbage?
That's fair. I'll look it up. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's a dino.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's some pulling and some blasters, and then they manage to get him out. They get to the medical facility.
By the way, that sequence, like... exactly what Wrecker was terrified of having happen is exactly what happened. And it's like if I would have been afraid to fall off of that and almost gotten eaten by some kind of monster, when I got back up there, I would be killing people.
It's funny you should mention that.
Exactly. A little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah. So they get to the medical facility, and Tech puts his little brain scanner device on Wrecker, who is now having some really bad headaches.
To the point to where it's consuming his attention. He can't do anything else. Yeah.
Omega gets really scared about the whole brain surgery thing, but Hunter's like, it's gonna be okay, because we're adults and we don't die to things like brain surgery.
Yep. Also, we have no other choice.
Yeah.
So let's all cross our fingers.
Although, like, in theory, Omega being the 10-year-old doctor, she would know the risks better than most people.
Yeah. So. Like, their big problem is it's not sanitary, right?
Yeah.
Or it's also on a crashed ship.
Yeah.
Like, who knows if it still works?
I mean, they have power, so that's a good sign. Anyway, scanning the chip seems to like trigger something in Wrecker, and all of a sudden he's like choking Tech, and he's like, "You're all in violation of Order 66."
Yeah, that's a pretty good Wrecker.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And he grabs his gun and starts shooting at everybody, and they're like, "Holy fuck! If he stays in here, he's gonna blow up the medical facility, and then none of us can get brain surgery." Yep. Like, okay, Omega, you stay here with Tech because he's like kind of unconscious in the corner. The rest of us,
he's got bitch slapped.
Yeah. The rest of us will go deal with this. So Wrecker's yelling at him about how they're traitors. He follows them into the hallways, just shooting everything. Rex, Hunter, and Echo are all trying to like stun him with their guns, but like they're not really doing much.
He's a fucking Rancor, pretty much. I mean, he's giant. Yeah. In fact, though, I really appreciated how they shot like it's not animated, but it's like a horror sequence from a movie. It's like all the lighting's really dark, and like they're sneaking around corners, and like all of a sudden he's right there, and they're like, "Oh fuck!" Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So Wrecker manages to knock them all unconscious, and he's like choking out Hunter when There's a blaster bolt that goes right past him, and holy shit, it's Omega, who can somehow lift Wrecker's enormous gun.
Yeah.
She starts running away. Wrecker starts chasing after her into this like other room, this supply closet or something. Yeah. She hides. Wrecker's like running around. There's like this really scary shot where he like pulls back a metal panel, and we know she's hiding behind a metal panel.
Yeah.
But she's not there.
But it's not the same one.
Yeah. And then he pulls back the metal panel, and oh, there's Omega. She was behind another metal panel. And like he's right about to like shoot her when he gets stunned in the back by Rex, who somehow managed to pick himself back up. So they're like, all right, they drag him back to the medical bay.
He gets knocked down, but he gets up again. You're never going to keep him down.
But first they're going to cut open his head and pull out the chip. So he has the surgery, he gets out, and like he's still unconscious, and everyone's like, okay, is he actually going to be okay? Because like this is kind of worrying. But a while later, an undisclosed amount of time, we don't know, Wrecker wakes up and is like, hey, what are you guys worrying about? I'm still here.
I didn't just try to kill all of you in a very terrifying, savage way.
Now let's get the rest of you into this like surgery tube to get your head cut open.
Yeah. Also, we don't know how much power we have left, so
like we need to get on this quickly. Wrecker talks to him and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about trying to kill you. Like I really couldn't control it, but I'm still sorry." And Omega's like, "It's okay. Have some Montellin mix."
Yeah.
And he's like,
"From Galaxy's Edge." Looks at camera, winks.
So they're snacking. Rex, it turns out, is working for the rebellion, or whatever is going to turn into the rebellion.
Like the precursor, like the proto-rebellion.
And he's like, well, Hunter, now that you and your squad have your chips out, you want to come work for me? And Hunter's like, nah, we'll pass. Yeah. He's like, well, okay, but if you ever change your mind, you know how to get a hold of me. And Hunter's like, well, you know, Rex, if you ever get into trouble, you know how to find us. And they kind of go their separate ways. Yeah. Last thing. A patrol from the Scrapper Guild is like spotting Rex walking away from Hunter, and they're like, yeah, okay, we gotta call the Empire because there's some shit going down here. And that's it.
So either they get chased away from Braca, or we have another Braca episode. Okay, so the Cal Kestis thing has to be mentioned because I find it suspect that out of all the locations that they could either invent for an episode or other ones that they could pick, that it was a little weird that they picked a location for a game that is fairly new, that also has a new next gen console release coming out in early summer.
Okay.
And I think there might be a chance if we go into this episode tomorrow and they're still on Braca, there is a chance they run into Cal Kestis.
Okay, that could happen.
He won't reveal himself as a Jedi.
No.
He'll just be some rat kid in a ship, and maybe that's how the Scrappers find. Like he like they're right on their tails, and he's like, "Oh, go this way," and then like they run into him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just a little kid," and they're like, "Okay, get to work," or something. So that either that or they'll be off of Braca, and then all that will be false. That will never happen.
I think it's more likely that the Empire catches up with them on Braca, given like how they were trying to set it up.
Yeah. So that'd be cool. That'd be a neat, innocuous cameo to have in Bad Batch, because he would be too young to actually do anything useful, and because I think he probably knows he can't show himself as a Jedi.
Yeah.
So
I also wonder if this is when we see Crosshair, because he's been out of it for a while.
Yeah.
Like they might figure that the only way to deal with these clones is to send their own clones, so
which would make
Crosshair
sense.
and his squad go in.
Yeah, that's actually probably more likely even than the Cal Kestis thing.
And if they're still on Braca, they have the ship right there, so they can get Crosshair's chip out after they knock him unconscious or whatever.
That's a lot of brain surgery to be doing in like that one location.
I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. So let us know what you thought of the episode. Put it in the comments. And
tell us everything we forgot.
Yeah, next one's out tomorrow.
Yep.
So that'd be pretty cool. So do you know what time it is now?
What time is it?
It's Star Wars story time, bitches.
Woo!
All right, so this is a segment we do about, it's mostly Star Wars comics. Sometimes it's Star Wars books or just things that we like about Star Wars, where we tell the story of what transpired. we've been doing a lot of comics lately, mostly the Darth Vader comics.
Because those are really good stories.
Right, which this one is kind of a continuation of.
Okay.
In a weird way. This is Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters #1. Before we get into this, thanks, of course, to our friends at Star Wars Comics Story for letting us use their moving picture box, so we can make our videos, and also our video editor Luca from Luxembourg, Luca. He does a good job too. So, so this is where we are in the timeline. Han Solo has been frozen in carbonite.
Yep.
While transporting him to Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine, Han is stolen from Boba while he was on Nar Shaddaa.
Okay.
Boba is pissed.
I would imagine so, yes.
Like, I know that before The Mandalorian, everyone's like, Boba Fett's a little bitch. You can't do anything but fall into a Sarlacc pit. But now we know that's not true. And the idea of Boba being pissed is a little scary. Okay. Now, this ties into Darth Vader because at the end of the last Vader comic, he and Ochiv Bastoon goes to Nar Shaddaa because they're like, we want fucking Han Solo, and they're like, someone stole him from Boba Fett. So sorry.
No, Mr. Solo. Yeah. No here.
So you're on a ship now. We're on a ship now with a couple of bounty hunters. They're going to their mothership, their Vermilion, and these two bounty hunter figures are standing over Han Solo's like carbonite block. Yeah. And like one of them, like the first one's like, hey, do you think that hurts to get frozen like that? And the other one's like, I mean, look at his face. Like, I wonder if the frozen expression of fear and fucking horror on his face.
He's not having a good time.
And she's like, that's a pretty good point. And so they land on their mothership, the Vermilion, both the bounty hunters, who are, we find out, named Margot and Trina, which are the two most Earth-sounding fucking names I've ever heard in my life.
Whatever, just go with it.
Are greeted by a mysterious white-robed figure whose face you cannot see.
Okay.
And so the robed figure is like, so is he alive? And they're like, yes. And by some weird thing, it turns out he could live like this for years. And she's like, or I shouldn't say she. The robed figure says, is he conscious? And one of them's like, Jesus, I hope not, because that would be horrific.
That would suck.
Yeah, and she's like, okay, good job. Send out the invitations. And you don't know what the invitations are. And the bounty hunter, Margot, is like, great. Oh, one more thing. We stole him from Boba Fett. And so
you did what?
Well, the robed figure... That's what I was expecting. The robed figure was like, "Oh, that's fine. If he wants to come, if he wants to come get his prize, he can come pry it out of my dead fucking cold fingers."
Okay.
And then we immediately transition to a bar on Nar Shaddaa,
where Boba Fett's like, "I'm gonna get Han Solo back from that motherfucker's cold dead fingers."
Yeah, he's sitting there at the bar with this bartender, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill somebody." And the barkeep's like, "I mean, you say that almost every time you're in here. Is there like any particular reason why you're going to kill someone this time?" And Fett's like, yeah, someone stole a bounty from me. And he's like,
okay, that's a good reason.
He's like, yeah, shit, that's they're either extremely dangerous or they're stupid enough to steal from you. So that's weird. Elsewhere in the bar, while they continue their conversation, I imagine like Boba's like drinking under his helmet, or whatever, like he's trying to wash the pain away.
Straw.
Yeah, yes, I love that. Elsewhere in the bar, a human female called Nalita, I don't know, and a Mohawk purple dude named Tekrit are sitting at a bar table, just talking. They're both kind of like bounty hunter kind of.
Yo, check out my sweet Mohawk.
Yeah, exactly. And the woman's like, okay, we're gonna catch hepatitis in this bar, so can we go? And the guy's like, okay, let me check the job posting again, because like we need money, And so he like pulls out his Newton or whatever device he's using.
His Star Wars PDA. Yeah,
and he's like, oh, holy shit. She's like, what? And he's like, there is a massive bounty on Boba Fett.
Oh.
Anyone can claim it. It's an open bounty, and he's literally over at the bar. And she's like, fucking kill him. Get the money. And so back to Boba. He's sitting there still talking to. He's just like bitching to this barkeep about someone still outside. He's really mad.
Yeah, I mean, the bartender probably hears this kind of shit all the time because that's what bartenders do.
Well, even the bartender's like, who the fuck would steal from Boba Fett?
Yeah,
that's stupid.
Really fucking weird.
And so they're like in the middle of this conversation, and Fett's like, so yeah, I'm going to figure this whole thing out. I'm going to go to the last location and blah, blah, blah. And like in the background, like while he's talking, you see this Mohawk guy stand up with his blaster. And
Boba's like, that guy's about to shoot.
well,
at me,
Boba's
isn't
back is to him.
he? Yeah.
He doesn't even know, and like Boba sees his reflection in like the napkin holder or something that's on the bar. He just turns around and fucking kills him. Just like pow pow, yeah. And his girlfriend's like, oh my god, and the barkeep's like, what was that all about? And he's like, this happens literally all the time. Like people are constantly trying to kill me. And he doesn't think of anything of it. He just leaves,
sure.
right? He doesn't know what's going on. He's just like, someone tried to kill me again. I'm just going to go.
It happens literally every day of my life.
So he leaves out. He leaves the bar. He starts walking towards Slave One. He's thinking in his mind like, I got to get this to Jabba. He's going to be real pissed. And they stole him from me at a doctor who I hired to stabilize Han to make sure he didn't die in transit. Yeah. And that's where they stole him. So maybe I'll go back there and start the search. But I'll find him. Like it's fine. You know,
no
I'm Boba fucking Fett.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. And so he sends a message to Bib Fortuna, right? So he records a message for him as he's walking up to his ship, and he's like, "Okay, tell Jabba I'm on the way. We had a setback, but there's no problem.
A little more time.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I love you." And
how are you?
Yeah, hits the like he ends recording.
Send.
Yep. He walks up his boarding ramp, and a hidden explosive by the door goes off. And
son of a bitch!
Yeah, Boba is thrown back and is like disoriented, and then like kind of like gets up and shakes his head, and none other than fucking Zuckuss is standing over him with a gun. Now, if you're thinking, who the fuck is Zuckuss? Think back to your early days as a wee baby when you watched The Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. During a scene where Vader is talking to a band of bounty hunters. The guy with like the weird big ant eyes.
Okay.
He's got like a robe and shit.
Yeah.
That's Zuckuss.
Okay.
He always refers to himself in the third person. He's very bizarre.
Sure.
Yeah, he's very, he has this fabled power of like being able to read people's fortunes, or like telling the future or whatever. And so Boba like sees him. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And Zuckuss is like, "All right, I've got some questions for you." And Boba's like, "Fuck you," and just like starts blasting him. Right. And like he gets airborne, he's like shooting rockets at him and shit. And behind him, Forlom, which is Zuckuss's partner, who is a droid, like a bounty hunter droid, who's also in the same scene in Empire, gets the drop on him. And Boba's like, "Oh shit, okay, fine." And so he lands, comes to like he lands like a dainty butterfly.
Yeah, sure.
And Boba's like, "Fine, what questions?" And Forlom is like, "Where's Han Solo? Like we couldn't find him on your ship." He's like, "You motherfuckers,
you were on my ship?"
Got on my ship. And Zuckuss was like, "Yeah, but we didn't like hurt anything. Even that explosive wasn't very big."
How do you think we got the bomb there?
Yeah. Which, by the way, the bomb wasn't that big of a deal, Boba.
Yeah.
It didn't damage a lot, so calm the fuck down.
Tap.
Yeah. And Boba's like, the fucking disrespect in these. That was my fucking dad's ship. And he like hits a control on his gauntlet, and the cannons on Slave One just start shooting like all over the fucking place. It's like the biggest overreaction. Yeah. He's like so pissed off. And so
flash forward to the Mandalorian when he has a whole bunch of people riding around on his ship.
Yeah, right. So the dust settles. Like he's looking around. Zuckuss is hanging off the ledge of the landing pad they're on. And he like walks up to the ledge, and Zuckuss is like, "Zuckuss isn't gonna die like this," and Boba's like, "I think there's a distinct chance you might." And he's like, "No, please don't let me die. I'll tell you your future." And he starts like going on. He's like, "Ooh, death and destruction and a red drowning sea," and but Boba's like, "Fuck off," and just kicks him off the ledge, right? And he starts to fall, and so he presumably dies, or probably not, but.
Well, they're on Nar Shaddaa, right?
Yeah.
This infinitely vertical city.
Yeah.
He definitely dies.
Yeah, or someone like catches him and turns him into a milkshake.
Or he pulls the Mace Windu maneuver and somehow lives.
Don't start saying that shit, because people are thinking you're being real. So he starts looking around, and he finds Forlom, who is in a heap, like he's in two pieces. Yeah. And Boba like ejects the blade out of his gauntlet. And he's like, "Oh, I got some questions for you, motherfucker. Now I'm going to cut your damn head off." And he cuts his head off and brings the head into Slave One. And he plugs it into Slave One's computer. And 4-Lom's like, okay, that's fair.
All right.
we did.
You win.
Yeah, we get it. So he plugs him into Slave One's computer, and he finds out that there's a bounty on him. It's an open bounty. Anyone can cash in on it, dead or alive, and the delivery of Han Solo is just a bonus. And Boba's like, what the fuck?
Who would do this?
It never happened to him before, right? He's used to people trying to kill him all the time.
Because, he's Boba Fett and people hate him.
But who would dare put a bounty on the best bounty hunter in the galaxy?
Yeah.
And 4-Lom's like, yeah, to be entirely honest with you, we were kind of wondering about that too. And Boba Fett's like, who did this? And he's like, it was totally Jabba the Hutt. And he's like, excuse me?
What?
And so he's like, yeah, Boba, this is Boba's contract. And so Boba's like, okay. He picks up his head, gets into the seat, flies to Tatooine, lands in front of Jabba's palace, walks out with fucking 4-Lom's head, just walking right up to the giant door.
Yep.
And like he's walking up to this door, and 4-Lom is like, I could translate for you. Like, I'm not totally useless to you. And he's like, shut the fuck up, and just throws him out into the sea, right? Or out into the dunes. And Bib Fortuna meets him.
Boba!
Yeah, meets him out the door. He's like, Boba. Okay, don't get mad. And
we can explain.
Yeah, and Boba's like, that is too fucking late, and he just kills the 2 Gamorrean guards that he had with him. And he's like, okay, look, you're gonna either get eaten by a Rancor or thrown into a Sarlacc. So you need to calm down. And he's like, you need to explain this motherfucking bounty bullshit. And he's like, okay, so basically what happened, and don't be mad, was that you took too long to get Han to Jabba. Jabba saw that he heard that you didn't have him anymore, and he assumed that you sold him to someone else. And he's like, that's fucking stupid.
Who would pay for Han Solo?
Why would I do that? And he's like, you know what? Why the fuck am I talking to you? Let's go talk to Jabba. And Bib Fortuna winces. He's like, he's not here. And so
No, Mr. Jabba,
yeah.
no here.
So meanwhile, in hyperspace,
Meanwhile,
and I shit you not, this is on Jabba's war barge.
okay.
Jabba has a war barge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Shadru war barge. War barge. Yeah. Having a hologram meeting with other Hutts.
Okay.
Because they're like a crime family.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know, it's like the Sopranos, but somehow fatter.
Yeah.
And Jabba the Hutt's like, okay, here's the deal. A criminal group that we haven't heard from in years claims to have Solo and Carbonite. And one of the other Hutts is like, well, what if they're imposters and not really that criminal organization whose name we keep avoiding to build suspense?
Yeah.
What if it's not them? And Jabba's like, I really don't care if it's not them. Either they're formidable now and we'll just kill them, or they're not and we'll probably kill them anyway. It doesn't matter. And what's funny about this whole scene is that one of the Hutts is 1,000 years. Literally, he's literally 1,000 years old, and they prod him awake. And they're like, hey, what do you think about this one thing? He just starts going off about the High Republic, like the Chancellor then, and it was he's in a different time. And one of the Hutts has a freakishly perfect washboard ab thing going on.
That's disturbing.
It is real strange. So he's like, don't worry about if they're imposters or not. We'll just fucking kill them. And they're like, that sounds very Hutt. So
all right,
good.
Cool.
Yeah. So back on Tatooine, Bib Fortuna is breaking the same news to Boba.
Yeah.
Who's like, we were contacted by this criminal organization who says they have Han Solo. And Boba's like, I want to see that invitation right fucking now. And Bib's like, look, just go home while you still can, because I still got a ton of fucking guys here. And because the big door is open a little bit, and all these guys come out of the darkness. And Boba Fett looks around, and he's like, if you guys don't let me pass, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Gotta reset the screen. Please hold.
So anyways, if you guys don't move, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And so they all stand aside.
Yes.
They're like, it's Boba Fett.
I mean, he already killed those 2 guys. He's probably gonna kill the rest of us.
So the invitation is a hologram from a hooded figure, which is the same hooded figure as before.
Yeah.
From Crimson Dawn.
Ah.
And they end the invitation with await the dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And Boba's like, I've got to admit, that's a real fucking stupid tagline.
Yeah.
And Bib Fortuna's like, yeah, I get it. And
we know.
so Boba's like, so they stole from me to impress Jabba, because their whole thing was that they're offering frozen Han Solo as a gift to Jabba, right? And Bib Fortuna's like, and he's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do: fix my ship. I'm gonna go to that planet and get my bounty back. And Bib Fortuna's like, look, you're one guy. Like, even if Crimson Dawn is a fraction of who they are, like, you're gonna get McClunkied. Just putting that out there. And he's like, I'm Boba Fett, and I'm gonna kill every one of those motherfuckers. And so they get back to the meanwhile, on the Crimson Dawn ship with the white hooded figure and the two, Margot and Mary, or whatever the fuck their names are. The hooded figure says, so here's the thing. She's saying this while she's standing next to Han Solo frozen in carbonate. Here's the thing about Han Solo. He's in contact with pretty much everybody, the rebels, the Empire, smugglers. Either everyone loves him, or they hate him, or they've fucked him, or they've wanted to fuck him, or they've needed him for something, or he needed them for something. Han Solo knows everybody. And he, like, in a weird fucking way, unites the whole fucking galaxy with this one fucking smuggler that pretty much everyone hates, and some people don't hate. And it, like, as she's saying this, there are like a couple of snapshots from around the galaxy, and Dr. Aphra is sitting with her girlfriend.
Oh, cool.
And like, her girlfriend saying, "Oh, it's Han Solo. Like, this bounty's on Han Solo. Like, we got to go help him." Yeah. And Aphra's like, "No,
fuck that.
No, you go do that if you want to, but I don't." But the point is that not everyone hates Han Solo. Yeah. Like, there are a lot of people who like him too. And so the hooded figure takes off her hood, and it's fucking Kira from Solo: A Star Wars Story. And she's like, Han always wanted to save me. Now he's going to get the chance. And that's the end of the comic. And she looks like she's got some fucking scheme.
Probably, yeah.
And I don't think it's to get Han Solo back. I don't think she gives a shit about Han Solo. No. So basically what has happened is that Kira has taken over Crimson Dawn. I'm not sure to what extent Darth Maul is still involved in all of this.
Well, Maul's dead, right? Obi-Wan killed him.
Yeah, he would have to be. You're right. He would have to be dead. So, well, that's how we know he's involved. He's not. Yeah. He's dead. So she's got some kind of scheme running. She seems like she's kind of the bad guy now, which I think is fucking awesome. And yeah, there you go. It's a great series. What time is it?
It's almost time.
The story is real. Yeah, that's
yes, this is canon.
It, like, we embellish a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's War of the Bounty Hunters #1. Go to Star Wars Comics Story YouTube channel, and you can check out the comic there, where it's not said in our words. It's literally the story. So let's talk a quick 2 minutes about Loki. Okay. Because Loki is amazing, and I love it. Spoilers if we happen to spoil Loki. I'm very sorry. Their second episode yesterday.
Yes. So you were right, by the way. It is female Loki.
I think someone said that in the chat.
Oh, good for them.
Thank you. When I'm right, I'm right. Am I right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this shadowy figure is like trying to destabilize the sacred timeline, and it ends up being Lady Loki.
And she ends up destabilizing the sacred timeline.
Yeah, that's the thing I was surprised about the most. And
it's episode 2, and she fucking pulled off her masterstroke.
Yeah, I think next week, let's make sure we put aside a little bit more time.
Yeah.
And we'll do a more in-depth talk about it. But I will say that the thing I was surprised about the most in this episode was that it's like the second episode in, and the episode ends with what feels like a mid-season surprise. Yeah. And it's really, really cool. And I still am disgusted with myself that I love Owen Wilson so much in this.
He's so good in this.
There's a thing about a jet ski, about how he likes jet skis, but he's never ridden one. And I swear to fucking God, if by the end of the series we don't see Mobius in his fucking 70s suit on a jet ski riding somewhere, I'm going to lose my shit. Because it's like Chekhov's jet ski. Like, they're setting it up. So it's a lot more complex than that. We'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about both. My absolute
favorite scene of this episode was when Loki and the TVA agent were, like, when they had found who they think is the evil Loki, and then all of a sudden it's just Loki or Tom Hiddleston talking to a bunch of actors doing their best Tom Hiddleston impressions.
Yeah.
It's just so
Yeah.
good.
Everything about it's a good. I want to do it justice.
Yeah.
Because so tomorrow, next week, maybe we won't do a Star Wars story time next week, and we'll put some time out for Loki.
Yeah.
So let me read a couple of these comments real quick. Dude, great call on Loki. Thank you. My grandparents came over for 2 weeks now. I'm going to their house for 3 weeks. Probably won't be able to go to your streams.
Aw.
Well, have fun at your grandparents.
Yeah.
Tell them to get the internet.
It's the new technology.
Yeah, tell them to get the internet and introduce them to our stream.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll love it. I'm calling it Vader shows up in the Bad Batch season finale and most likely kills them all. But I could be wrong, but I don't see a season 2.
It's kind of a downer ending, isn't it?
Yeah, I think whether or not there's a new season will depend on how good this one does. If this season does really well, there will be a second season. That's how Hollywood works. Is this story real?
Yes.
Yes, it's absolutely real. Maul died about a year before A New Hope. Right. Yeah, I kind of forgot because Kira in the Maul thing.
Yes.
Maul and Solo Star Wars story was very confusing for me for like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna reset for our Battlefront